Let's talk about measuring success and what success looks like. In the case of the roofer that we went and did keyword research for, and we found that on average the clicks could be something like $2, $8, $25, but we went with $8. And let's say the roofer also does shows, or this could work for a B2B company as well that does trade shows. I mean, every company can basically have a referral program. Most can have shows. Definitely most can have AdWords. We could put SEO up here. We could do quite a bit. But I like to show AdWords because it's so competitive that if you can make it with AdWords, you can make it anywhere else. And it also really highlights two leverage points where marketing really takes the lead. And these are the 2 points at which you can essentially help the client make the most money. And when you sit down and you show them this, then you're able to really uncover quite a bit. So if you'll remember, we went and gathered some information, and we gathered cost per click range. We gathered even how many people were looking. So if we went and looked at impressions of roofing searches, and we said, I think it was 14,000 is what Google was saying. I thought that was a little bit much, especially with my experience of pausing words that don't matter. But so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start filling this in. And one thing's for sure, most business owners do not know their numbers, or else they would stop doing marketing that's bad for them, or double down on the marketing that is good. Now, everybody needs to understand all channels, they have crossover. They help each other. There's different attribution models. I don't care about any of that. I care about, on average, is this making me money using this channel? And if it is, then by golly, it's great if it has crossover and it helps the other channels, or vice versa. We could put retargeting on here. We could do Facebook ads. There's so many things that we can compare. These are just the three I wanted to show you here. So I went ahead and I put in $8 per click. I put in 10,000 impressions in a month. And then this is where we have to start making some hard assumptions. If the business owner will tell you how much their average sell is, then in this case, I'm guessing a roof is going to make them $4,000 gross, not profit. If you wanted to do the numbers by profit, you could totally put that in here and say, okay, he's going to make $1,000 on average, or $2,000, or whatever you can. Just in this situation, I like to compare what is the best return on your money by advertising medium. Referral programs are great, or getting referrals based off of jobs are great, but that's icing on the cake. Obviously, you could change the attribution model to include lifetime value of a customer, or on average that you get 0.5 referrals as well. Businesses under extreme competition have to look more than just the first purchase, or have to have a better way to upsell, or fill their funnel full of smaller jobs like repairs, or fill their funnel full of, here's how to do a small roof repair, and then, here's a coupon that you can get it cheaper for us. There's definitely things you can do there, but let's go back to the main focus here. Is we've had to put in a bunch of assumptions. We've had to say, if somebody goes and does a demo, or does the actual on-site quote or estimate, 33% of those people are going to close. So 1 in 3. Okay, that's essentially the assumption we have to make. If somebody asks for a demo, we're making an assumption that 100% of them allow us to do that demo. I mean, it could be as little as 80%, for instance. It really could, but in this situation, this would not make us money. So there's always drop off basically at every milestone, if that makes sense. And I'm sure there's more milestones than this, but this is my experience with contractors has been the greatest milestone. So, if you can just basically get the cost per click from them, put in all the numbers that you that you can gather from the internet, then you can start playing with scenarios. Then you can start making sure that all 3 channels that you're comparing, for instance, have the same cost per or average sale. You might actually find that a referral on average sells for more. But like I said, most business owners don't actually track it, and the numbers they're going to give you, especially down here, where they're like, yeah, I close everything that comes my way, typically a lie. But, it's just because they don't track everything. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. But until you get in there, get your call tracking, get your form tracking back to the source, do things like that, this is the best thing you can do. You can basically come together with the client and say, what would success look like if we did AdWords? And can we compare it to anything else you know? And so let's just go through this. $8 a click. We're going to pretend that only 2% of all the people that see our ads, okay, so these are impressions of our ads, are going to actually click to our website. So this would be website visitors, so to speak, but clicks to your website. Okay. And then this is how much that costs us based on $8 a click. If it's $25 a click, it's significantly more money. And as you can see, there's no money left over in this scenario. So we're going with $8 a click because even if there are $20 a click, options, we're probably not going to bid for those, especially starting out until we can prove some revenues coming in. Okay. And so this is kind of interesting, right? This is what his budget's got to be in this scenario. Now we did go and look and we do think in like the HVAC case, they could be spending $5,000 a month. So, take everything with a grain of salt and apply the numbers the way you want to apply it when you're showing it. But let's come down here and let's say, okay, the people that land on my website, these 200 people, let's say 2% of those people are going to turn into a lead. They're going to raise their hand and say, yes, I want an estimate, or yes, I want that thing I'm offering, that coupon or something. Come and do it. So that would be basically only 4 people out of that 200 in a month, right? And then you would do 4 quotes because we're assuming that all things are going to work out just perfectly smooth. Not typically the case, but just go with it, right? And then out of that 4, because we're not looking at 6. If we were looking at 6, we should have had 2 out the door because the close ratio is 1 in 3. But on average, we're only going to get 1 out of that 4. So we got to get 2 more to get another 1. And so you can also look at things like this, because does the owner actually know that he's paying, in some cases 400, 429, or 500 for just to be able to do a demo for somebody? Does he know what his cost per sale is, right? Does he know what his cost per lead is? That's another thing that can be calculated as well. Not on this at the moment, but it totally can. I think we could maybe even be able to expand it. Cost per inquiry or /lead. It's right there, right? So, like we said, we have 100% ratio of people actually working out, but let's just split it out for now. This is his cost for marketing per sale. That is pretty high, $1,600. Wow, that would be kind of rough. Okay, and so his gross profit is going to be $2,400. His cost as a percentage of sales is going to be... this is per sale, right? Okay, that's where I was getting thrown off. These numbers are the same, but if you get 2 here, then this can change. See how that changes. Got it. Okay. So don't want to break it. And then I love to look at this ratio of, okay, how much is my marketing really costing me to actually get that gross and of that revenue? And that 40% is rather high. I mean, every industry is different, but obviously the lower that percentage, the better for people. And when and if you ever do factor in referrals off of an existing job, it always gets, the costs way down. I mean, I've had costs get as low as like 2% or 5% because of all the extra jobs they did, or how large or how much revenue they got from, that super mansion that they landed every 6 months. They land a super mansion because they're always showing up in Google AdWords. So yes, they get smaller jobs, and yes, their cost as a percentage of the sale is 30%. But then all of a sudden along comes a ginormous job, and then if you average it all out, your cost as a percentage of sale is now 15% for everything. And that 1 month, maybe it was 5%. So if you know your numbers, then you can improve things, and then your budget kind of changes from, hey, to what they actually say, I'm sure this will happen to you. What's your budget? Well, if it performs well, it's unlimited. And yes, they mean well with that, but really they know they have a certain dollar amount that they can spend a month. And just showing them some numbers can help them finally come to that conclusion and be like, yes, I've only have, $1,000 a month, or I only have $500 a month. And so what you got to do is optimize that $500 a month, and that may only be SEO or very little pay-per-click in order to help them. And then if they get some results, obviously it does expand. So going back to what's the real purpose of this exercise. So I could talk about this forever, but these are the 2 leverage points of marketing. I mean, getting more people or the right people to view your ads so that more of them click, writing the right ads, picking the right keywords so you can get those more people. That's a huge leverage point. So if you can get something like 5% click-through rate, you can see how this affects the bottom line very positively. Now we're grossing $8,000 and our cost per sale has gone down. And in comparison to like a show, it's a lot less, in this scenario, right? And so what if, we'll just put this back, what if instead we just have a great offer on our site, or we optimize and we do a new website, which is typically what we recommend, because 3 or 4 or 5-year-old websites that weren't set up perfectly in the first place are definitely not going to be set up today to perform well with all the changes in mobile, for instance. It's almost a given that they need a new website. They may not let you start there. You may have to just optimize an existing website and sell them for less. But they definitely need ongoing marketing, whatever they do. And ongoing marketing is great. The one thing you have full control over is the on website. So it is a shame if they don't let you actually just create a new website from the ground up that makes you the logical choice. So what if you are at least able to make a landing page for, roofing repair or roofing that is better? What if you only made at least one page better, and now, at least for those search terms, you're averaging a 4% conversion rate, meaning the people ask for a demo in this scenario. Well, that still improves revenue, right? I prefer to do both things. I prefer to, try to go for that 5% click-through rate and try to go for, some sort of outrageous number like 10%, and you can start to see how this bottom line is just so positively impacted. And like I said, if you don't track your numbers, you can't improve them. You can't know where they're at. I mean, if you ask an existing owner of a business, what is your conversion rate from view to your website based by channel? I guarantee you they don't know by channel, And so, I know it sounds crazy, but I actually get 22% conversion rate for some of my clients. And they never show me this. They never let me into their QuickBooks. And everybody I speak to in other agencies says that they've broached that topic with some business owners before. And often the business owners are just scared that you're going to learn how much money you actually made them, and you're going to ask for more. And I'm like, no, actually, I just want to be able to know how much money I made them so I can go get more clients and gradually increase my prices, But that is not the typical. Let's go back to a reasonable number that's still a really high, lofty goal, 10%, and if maybe they'll open up when you're showing them this, and maybe they'll be like, what, actually, my show, when you add in my opportunity cost, or if I had to pay somebody to be there, actually it would be $4,000, that's what it would cost. And you'd say, okay, wow, that's pretty intense. That's a very expensive show, right? That takes a lot of time. And, you're going to talk to 100 people or 200 or 300, and you're going to have different numbers of conversion, getting people to say, yes, show up for the demo. I definitely have heard lots of people after you call them, they say, oh, actually it's bad timing, or we're doing this other thing with our bathroom that's $20,000. We got to get through that first. So I know for a fact there's a lot more drop off from other marketing avenues like shows than with Google AdWords. That's why we've played with a little bit of these numbers, and you can just see. So, I mean, I love to show them that basically you can fill your entire business with a couple of different marketing channels. Let's maybe get 6 good sources of leads and business and sales, and get some really good tracking going on, so we know on average what it costs per lead or cost per inquiry. $80 per lead in this situation is a bargain. I mean, look at this. You're paying a lot more other places. And so I've actually had the problem where I've had 120 locations that I did work for, and they would call me up and say, "How do you turn it off? I'm getting too much business, or I'm going to go on vacation, or it's Christmas time, and I'm sick of people telling me I've got to get this garage done before Christmas. It's a Christmas gift, you know." And I'm like, well, you could turn off AdWords for a time, but search engine optimization, that's one you can't really turn off unless you're completely just saying, I don't want to invest in this on a monthly basis. It's like dollar cost averaging for investing, and you're going to turn it off for a couple of months. Yeah, it's doable, but it will hurt your bottom line, and it may hurt you further down the road. You may not fill it today, right? So this, honestly, is one of my favorite tools that I've created. I really like the analytical side and showing people, hey, you just don't track anything, so you don't really know what you're getting. And so I'm going to put these back, and hopefully that rings it home to you. Bad marketing equals bad bottom line, and good marketing equals a lot higher bottom line, and you can get your costs, so much lower as a percentage of sales for your marketing services just by doing a really stellar job, helping them hold their hand, making sure that they are the logical choice. They have that better offer, that better landing page that is fully, optimized. That you're doing the best you can to filter out the bad words. So in the case of roofing, you're negating the word supply, because the roofer doesn't actually supply the roofing supplies. He gets it from a local person or from a particular brand, and so he doesn't want to show up for those. So just watching what words you're actually showing up for AdWords and pausing those, or using the call tracking to then go backwards and say, okay, look, you're getting calls for these words and these search terms, and those are returning into real dollars, especially if they let you look at their QuickBooks. Like I said, they almost never do. We should double down on these words, and then these words that you think are really important, the cost maybe is twice as much as everywhere else, right? So, if it's costing $800 per lead or demo, in the case when we had it down to 80, it's 160 or something else, then, you say, hey, our numbers will be better and we'll actually get a better return if we pause those. If you want to keep getting those leads, then what we can do is keep spending that money, or maybe we create a different landing page, or maybe we break out that keyword in its ad groups just so it has a better an ad, and that we can pay a little more attention to it. So there's definitely things you can do, and I didn't really want this to go down to what can you do to improve this. I just want you to know these are the two honestly largest leverage points that you have control over. Obviously, you can change the cost per lead. If we do have to go pay $20 per lead, this is never going to make us any money in this scenario. It would only make us money. And I do have clients that have paid as much as $20 a lead and even more. And so you just have to be very sure that what you're spending the money on is going to work for them. So let's get that to even just a reasonable 3%. And then let's go with 8, conversion rate. It's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money they can make. And yes, they can compete at that $20 a click. So you can play with these scenarios right in front of their eyes. You can decide to be a little less generous on the likelihood of somebody actually letting you show up and do the demo. You can play with those. And then obviously when you're running campaigns and you're using Google Data Studio and you're looking into your call tracking and all that sort of thing, you can show them these real metrics and create a nice dashboard to help them basically see what you're showing them here before they go ahead and start. Or maybe they are doing AdWords. In the case of the plumbing client, for instance, we found they had ads, but they have no clue what their return is. And one of the things I've known, the last thought I'll leave you with is, if AdWords or social media is performing terribly and it's just doing a bad job for them, they would never know unless they track it, right? Unless they start tracking it, they would potentially be the best at getting referral business, right? And they would never know that they could actually do a couple of things there to increase their referrals and increase how easy it is to leave a review online and now get referrals from more than just that limited person's personal connections and group. They can now expand that to the whole world. That's a method for sure. There's quite a bit more there that I won't go into, but essentially they can be bleeding from 2 or 3 or 4 of their marketing channels, as long as when you put it all together, it's making them money, then they think they're successful. And it's just, in this day and age, you don't have to do that. Those are the days of yellow pages, and those are long dead. So let's take the world by storm. Let's show them what success really looks like, and let's then live up to the dream and get them those results in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, often 3 months for Google AdWords to show its worth, 6 months for SEO. More competitive the market, the bigger the city, the longer those can go, double, triple, But honestly, I haven't ran an AdWords campaign in a long time that hasn't made sense and worked for somebody locally. So I'll leave you with that.